naira per dollar last Friday. Monday's rate became the worst official exchange rate since the Central Bank of Nigeria floated the naira in June 2023. Babajide, it's really worrying the level at which the naira is going. Now we are having to see it going to 1,534. But let's have your thoughts on this depreciation and how do you think this could impact the already inflation that we're currently witnessing in the economy? How do you think this would, worsen this?
Well, it will worsen things because Nigerians are adjusting prices based on these forex realities. People who have old stock of cement, old stock of consumables, including food items, once they hear that the naira has further slid in the forex market, in the foreign exchange market, they go to adjust prices. And so these adjustments are really not they are uncalled for. Some of the adjustments that we are seeing are uncalled for. Even items that have nothing, that are not imported, that do not relate to exchange rates in any way. You see people
jacking the
prices upwards. We have to find a way to control prices. If we want to rein in inflation, I think food inflation is the most brutal of all. Somebody was telling me that Dangote cement is now 7,000. I said, I'm not bothered. I'm not building a house. And there are many Nigerians who are not bothered. If you can sell the cement at 50,000 per bag, what Nigerians are concerned about the most is food. People are hungry. They are not going to eat Dangote cement. No, but rice, beans, millet, the things that they need to eat to survive. We've got to do something about their prices. We've got to do something. So the exchange rates has defied logic to me, because when I was reading now that commercial banks sold a total of 1.97 billion in 1 week. They sold dollars amounting to 1.97 billion. That's almost 2 billion. Yet it has not affected the rates. So who are the people who bought this thing? Where did they keep them? That's why yesterday, as we were trying to round up, I said, well, perhaps the people buying are people with the intention to sterilize the currency. Because what's going on? Almost 2 billion in a week, and there's no impact. In fact, it's still going up. Something must give. There are people who, in their wickedness, are still thinking that this thing will get to 2,000
to a dollar.
Some are still buying the dollar at this time in the hope that it will still go up. Evil things must be going through the minds of many Nigerians. People with an unquenchable appetite for evil. They are still buying. So these banks are probably, as they are pushing this thing out to sell, maybe their colleagues, because the banks are culpable in the mess that we found ourselves. Banks that kept $5 billion. And the CBN governor had to say, you must sell. Why did they keep $5 billion? People need to ask them this question. What are you keeping $5 billion for? You are intermediaries, you are agents. It's not your place to stock dollars. You have to sell to people. There's nothing you do on your own that generates dollars. It's still from the CBN that you get it.
So what gives them that authority to keep dollars in such amount?
Nobody gave them. They just wanted to make money. They buy it and keep in the hope that, oh, when the rate goes up rapidly, they can then sell. That is the thing. The same people who will take the dollar at the official window and hire bookies that they will give to. And when you go to them, they will not give you across the counter. They will point to an aboki somewhere, go and meet him. Silly things happen in our country. We need to address these things. Somebody was telling me of a governor who will never spend naira.
Many of
If they go to him to say, we have issues, how much can you give us to help us solve the problem? He brings his briefcase, he's giving them dollars.
Yeah.
A governor, there are many of them
Many
like
of
that.
them, many.
People come to see them, they want to give them parting gifts and all that. They won't give them naira, they give them dollar. So the rate at which we want this dollar, it's not, the CBN governor was talking about people who want to go to school, people want to, no, that's not enough. What was he saying? The Nigerian governors are mopping up dollars.
Yeah.
This is a fact.
Indeed.
Is anybody going to say that it's not true? I'm saying it now.
Absolutely.
And a good number of them watch me. They know I'm saying the truth.
How would you respond to this, Olayinka?
In fact, you know, as a journalist, I'm even sitting on a horn of dilemma. Sometimes I wish that, is it possible that we blank out the dollar exchange rate and all that? But it's not possible because we are dealing with information. Because the moment some people sleep every night, they wake up the next morning to look at what is the rate of the naira to the dollar. So people begin, and people who ordinarily, some years back, don't have an idea of what a dollar is. Pepper seller, fruit seller, they will tell you, dollar has risen again. So you ask yourself, what is responsible for this? The central bank, last week or so, when the governor said they should sell the dollar, the commercial bank, and I asked myself, so some of them still have this dollar and they were keeping it for what? Now, people who have genuine need for dollar are there. They are not getting it. And then why are you keeping it? For what? And then, as Babajide has said, you have some people who today, when you go to them, naira is their mode of transaction. Why? As we have always said on this program, you cannot, let's even leave out the so-called advance, you cannot go to South Africa or go to Rwanda or any of those countries and want to spend dollar if you are not in, if you don't have your passport and all that.
Oh, you can't even spend, you will spend it in the duty-free shop.
Exactly.
That's
so
the place.
why is it that you have some hotels now,
go to jail.
People come there, even Nigerians, they have to pay in dollars. Has dollar become our means of exchange? No. So something has to be done. The central bank must put down its foot that, look, this thing that we are giving you, it is meant for so and so exchange. Why should I go to a bank? You want dollar, the teller will tell you we don't have it. Then the next thing, it will say, should I call Alaji this for you? And then they will call the Malam. The Malam will come and give you dollar that you should get in the bank. So there must be a way.
Of course, at a higher rate.
Of course, there must be a way we need to bring this down. Because in all honesty, every day I look at it and I say, where do we... Yes, government, banks, central bank and so on, they may have their own fault. But we as individuals too, we must curb our appetite for spending money that is not our own.
Point taken there. BKO, before I wrap up on this segment, speaking of ways of bringing this issue down, would you suggest that perhaps the cancellation of domiciliary account would be a way to go as being proffered or being suggested in different quarters? What are your thoughts?
I don't know Those who are suggesting what, because it makes no sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
It makes no sense. The person who genuinely made this money, he needs to put his money in domiciliary account. From there, he can make genuine, valid transactions through the bank. You know what is in the bank. Whatever transaction you do can be tracked.
Yeah.
That's the first step towards transparency. There are some people who will never send money to you through the bank because they know that it will leave a trail.
Yes.
So they will tell you, they will give you cash. One of our very famous business analysts was telling me that somebody wanted to buy a house somewhere on the island for 10 billion. He was insisting on paying cash. That one has gone mad now.
It's completely.
He was insisting on paying cash.
How do you
Why
want
would
to
you
carry
pay 10 billion cash? Of course, it is possible. Nigerians do it.
Yes.
I know somebody who bought a house in Abuja, somebody in government who bought it. I will not say how much he bought it because they will say I should go and bring him. What he did was that 80% of the money was in dollars. The remaining 20% he transferred.
So that you will not exactly.
But the bulk of the money he paid in dollars. People are stealing us blind. People in government, people that we trusted, that they will fight against corruption, they are stealing so much money and converting same to dollars. This is one big factor in the dollar illiquidity that we are going through. Because people have stolen so much money. This is a country where an individual can steal 100 billion.
Yeah.
The system permits someone to steal that much. And when he steals that much, he wants to secure it with a very reliable store of value. There is no currency that you can regard as a very reliable store of value like the dollar. It's the most popular currency across the world. And Nigeria already has that position high up there as one of the biggest importers of the dollar. We don't want to do transactions again. We steal money, we convert to dollar, and you are saying hunger for the dollar will not continue. Of course it will continue. People have suggested that to stop this slide, maybe government should take a loan from the IMF. Take this loan from the IMF and use the dollars to stop the slide. If you bring in that money,
Some people will steal it.
these people, they are still going to mop it up.
Exactly.
Not like you didn't bring any money.
And
If we can do business, 1.97 billion,
So where do we
and
go
the
from
rate
here?
is still going up, we don't know. See, the CBN governor needs to tell us why you will push this much money
into
into the forex market and there is no change. Instead, it's going up. Something is wrong. Then the banks, ideally, if it was China or even Malaysia,
many,
these banks
many of the executives
who kept dollars amounting to 5 billion in their vaults. They are not the ones who work for this money. Remember
No,
that the
not at
CBN was giving them dollars every week. CBN said, we will no longer sell dollars to Bureau de Change operators. Under Emefiele, he started selling directly to his friends in the banks. Because he used to be one of them. He started selling directly to them. Instead of selling to people, they were warehousing
the money.
Some of them were converting even their dollar accounts. They were converting the naira in their votes. They were converting to dollar, hoping that when things degenerate and the naira slice badly, they can then use their stock of dollars to make money, make so much profit. That is what they call positioning. In that banking lingo, positioning. That's what it's called. Sterilized. I'll tell you, I'm not surprised that this has happened. Some people are still going to mop up what is being sold. All this, the same people sell to themselves and their friends. They will mop it up and then sterilize it. You and I will now be saying, what's going on? How come the rate? It's a simple, basic demand and supply rule. That given what is being pumped in, it should even slide a little bit at least.
Exactly.
But that's not what we are saying. No. What kind of economy is this?
Olayinka, what do you think we can do about the situation?
Well, the central bank has to rev up its monitoring abilities. I think that's just it. Because every step that is taken is sabotage. But there are people that are sabotaging this. And the central bank must be able to point them out. As he has said, if the central bank must have a record of how much is the dollar that each bank has,
yes,
they should be able to ask them, why did you have this much?
And then who bought?
Who bought what? Give me a record of all your customers who bought. Olayinka bought 1,000. What did they buy it for? And so on, something like that. If that is not done, you know, the reason why crime festers is because you don't catch the criminals, or you catch them, you don't punish them.
Let them go.
That is it. If they are punished, I'm sure no bank MD in the world of today will want his name mentioned in money laundering or in. So they will wake up and do the needful.
Or it will damage the bank as well.
Exactly. So the central bank has to wake up. Is monitoring
to take big decisions.
Exactly.
Big decisions.
Look, you must take decisions that will hurt people. That is it.
Are we not hurting as a people?
Exactly.
Are the poor people not hurting from this wickedness and the selfishness of some?
So you prefer that the poor men should be hurt, and then those who are your friends, who are these are the people that should pay more for this.
Right. Well said, gentlemen. Let's quickly move on to our next issue, where after the inauguration of the Tripartite Committee for a new national minimum wage, workers are on the verge for a tangible outcome. As negotiations intensify, organized private sector in Ekiti, Sokoto and other states have faulted the demand for 1 million naira minimum wage by the Nigeria Labour Congress, stating that it is not realistic. Also, the president of NLC, Joe Ajero, said organized labor may insist on the 1 million naira if the value of naira continues to drop. And reacting to the proposal, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Idris Mohammed, said the federal government will make a reasonable decision in line with national interest and other factors. BKO is still talking about this issue. The depreciation of the naira is what is justifying the NLC to demand for 1 million naira. But what do you make of this? Do you think perhaps this is realistic, even though that the currency is weakened to a certain extent? And what do you think they could use to justify, you know, any increment, so to speak, for the new minimum wage?
No, it's a natural thing that minimum wage will go up, and it has to go up significantly. But to be talking about 1 million is to be ridiculous.
Completely. Completely.
He knows in his heart, Ajero knows in his heart that nobody will pay him 1 million.
It's laughing.
Nobody will pay him 1 million. It's turning this to a joke. And we don't need that. These are serious times. The negotiation for a new minimum wage shouldn't take time. Everyone knows that there's a need for a new minimum wage, a living wage for workers.
Right.
But don't punch above your weight category. If you are a flyweight and you now say, it is that man who is a heavyweight that I want to fight, you know that you are sending an invitation to the man upstairs to invite you. That is the thing. You cannot fight above your weight category. It makes no sense.
Right.
That's planning your own suicide, planning suicide. So Ajero and his people, yes, they must negotiate they must negotiate aggressively because the Nigerian worker deserves the best. Who says it is Nigerian worker who should not earn a living wage? Is a living wage meant for senators alone and politicians? Who says it's politicians alone who should ride in good cars? Some of them will never do well, but they ride some of the best cars around. Who says that is exclusively for politicians? I do not agree that the Nigerian worker should not earn a living wage. Before Ajero begins to talk about 1 billion, the last minimum wage, more than 20 states could not pay. 30,000, no. More than 20 states could not pay 30,000 naira. And Ajero wants
1 million.
1 million. We play too much in this country. No, as those people will just be looking at it, okay, they play. Which is our street lingo now in Nigeria. They play. They look at him, Ajero, they play. 1 million is too much now. I agree that this time around, they must get a good bargain from the government. And states now, some states are earning 3 times what they used to earn. They have no excuse. Any of those states that does not want to pay minimum wage now, Labour has to get up and make governance difficult for that kind of governor. Strikes, civil disobedience, they must pay. Because we know what they pay themselves. I mean, I may not always agree with Labour and its tactics, but this is the truth. You must pay the worker
a living wage.
A living wage.
Right.
Mr. President talked about a living wage shortly after he was inaugurated. His first meeting with governors, he told them, he said, this is the time for us to talk about a minimum wage. At that time, the Naira had not even taken this level of beating. But the president talked about it. So the more the Naira slides, the more
the demand.
Labour will ask for something bigger. I think they were talking about 200,000 before.
Yes.
I had the
200,000.
Yes.
and what was that one with the bushy hair?
The
TUC man. He was talking about 200,000 at that time. We felt 200,000 was kind of
unrealistic.
At that time, the Naira had
not slid to this level.
Yes. Every time the Naira slides, disposable income of the worker and the rest of us, labor constitutes just around 5 to 6% of the population. You know? So you can't also spend nearly all what we've got for just 6% of us. The rest of us won't agree. Because states will now be left with a little or nothing, and you must have enough to spend on infrastructure, to spend on even the environment, refuse evacuation, and the rest. And all those remedial actions that must be taken to address climate change-induced problems here and there. So we have to put on our thinking cap and arrive at a minimum wage that will be acceptable
for all parties.
To everyone, because we can't bankrupt our country because we want to pay minimum wage to just about 5% of the population. Well, don't forget, Ajero must realize that when you talk about minimum wage, you are not talking about government workers alone.
No.
It seems to talk like, oh, this whole thing is just government workers. Even in the private sector, the minimum wage is the law. So it must take root. They must pay too. So you must bear them in mind. If you think government has so much money now because subsidy has been removed, the states are earning more, federal too is earning more, local government are earning more. How about the people in the private sector? A lot of them are losing their businesses. A lot of the businesses are dying. So you must bear all of these issues in mind and negotiate sensibly.
Absolutely.
And arrive at something that will be acceptable to everyone.
Let's just quickly go on a very quick break. We're still on to Journalist Hangout. We'll have more discussions on this very issue when we return. Just stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every hour, and every day, time doesn't just tick away. It counts down to political decisions that shape our world.
This country must move.
Imagine the impact these decisions have on our lives. Some are consequential, others may leave us intrigued or baffled.
You will have no better friend and partner than Nigeria.
Step in and feel the frenzy like never before. Join me every weekday for an hour of fact-finding interviews where questions cut to the core.
What does Tinubu has that other 17 candidates do not have?
I will dig in to get to the heart of issues, from local politics to global insight. Join me as I unearth the power plays, jaw-dropping revelations, and the unfiltered truth. This isn't just politics, it's unraveling the stories that matter. Brace yourself for Politics Tonight every weekday at 8 p.m., where every decision echoes along the corridors of our lives. Politics Tonight, only on TVC News.
You're still on to Journalist Hangout, and we're still discussing the issue of the minimum wage negotiation. Olayinka, let's quickly get your perspective on this matter now. Let's look at the factors now that must be considered, when determining a realistic minimum wage. Babajide just mentioned some certain things that should be looked into, but what do you make of this and what should be considered if NLC insists on 1 million naira following the depreciation of the naira? What do you think should be considered?
Well, as you said, when you want to make a demand, you look at what is realistic. Although Labour always feel that they should demand higher than what they know is agreeable or payable, so that when the negotiation comes. But to ask for 1 million naira, now, today, even as the naira is, what is minimum wage? Minimum wage means that the lowest paid worker in the country.
Yes.
Okay. So, let's take it now that a fresh graduate that even works maybe with an oil major or whatever, will a fresh graduate get 1 million naira? So, things that we should be asking, the labor should be asking for are things that will make life easy and better. It is not necessarily about how much you are paid.
Purchasing power.
Now, when the subsidy was removed, price has risen. If you now give minimum wage again, price will rise, obviously. So, whichever way you go, labor also need to think and ask itself, what is the most realistic thing that we should ask for? Services are falling. What is it that they must do? Because when we ask government for things, we also must turn the searchlight on ourselves. As I always say, in fairness, sometimes government has done things that will make life easy for Nigerians. But we as citizens are the ones that make that life difficult. The clear example I always make is this issue of passports. Is the issue of driver's license. Is the issue of every other thing that government has made it in such a way that you can sit at the comfort of your home, fill the form, pay the money. All you need to do, print out the evidence of payment and take it to those offices. But when you get there, people will tell you, oh, it has not dropped. That's the language you hear. What does that mean? So it means that you have paid, you have done everything. There's no way you are going to get that in until you get across to somebody. What is the feature that is in all those things that is not in other countries?
So in a nutshell.
Yes. So in a nutshell, we must also face ourselves that, look, in what way am I contributing to the problem that is in this country? We see others, we don't see ourselves. Labor is demanding for 1 million. There's no way anybody will pay that amount. The 30,000, we know 20 states have not paid that from how many years ago that has been approved. So when you are going to demand for something that you know when negotiation is, and even those who will support you will be able to support. There is no way any reasonable Nigerian will support him. We are not in Zimbabwe, or we are not in, in those days we used to talk about Italian lira, that you need a truckload of Italian lira to buy one loaf of bread. Nigeria has not gone to that point.
So we will not get to that point.
So we must always make demand that we know are reasonable.
Right.
So that you can get reasonable discussion.
Now let's quickly move on to our next issue of discussion, where despite the challenges of insurgency, Borno State, northeast Nigeria continues to set the pace in provision of welfare for its citizens. In continuation of this, Governor Babagana Zulum supervised the distribution of 225 million naira and food items to more than 70,000 vulnerable families in Bama local government area of the state. Professor Zulum, who spent 2 nights in Bama coordinating the humanitarian activities, gave out 5,000 naira cash and 1 wrapper each to more than 45,000 female residents and delivered food items to about 25,000 male heads of households. Well, each male beneficiary received 1 bag of rice and 1 bag of maize. Meanwhile, the Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, urged the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, to tell President Bola Tinubu that Nigerians are suffering due to the economic hardship in the country. The Emir also described as suspicious the relocation of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, and some departments of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, from Abuja to Lagos. Let's share the story by TVC News' Ibrahim Isa with you.
First Lady of Nigeria, Oluremi Tinubu, touched down at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport and was welcomed by a cheering crowd. She was received by Governor Abba Yusuf and his wife in company of other state governors' wives. The wife of the president was in Kano State to inaugurate the School of Law building named after her at the Mariam Abacha American University of Nigeria.
To the glory of God Almighty, I hereby commission this building for the benefit of all children.
Shortly after the inauguration, she called on Nigerians to be patient and support the government of President Bola Tinubu to achieve the desired goals of developing the nation.
It's just like a woman in labor who is about to birth. These are hard, but when I saw all those children lined up the street, I see that removal of fuel subsidy is for their future. We can come and do government as usual, business as usual, but I would tell you that certain things happen that would change the trajectory of your thinking. I want to work for you, and I believe that Mr. President has the same drive and zeal to want to turn this nation around. I want you all to bear with us. Kano, with the help of His Excellency, the Governor, I want to thank you, sir, and the First Lady. I was quite humbled by the reception Kano did to receive us.
Governors of Kano and Benue States, Abba Yusuf and Hyacinth Alia, appreciate the First Lady for finding time to visit Kano State.
To the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I must say that I am touched by her humility, by her concern for the welfare of the common man. I followed her to see what she was going to do so that I can take it and transform Benue State with the great gesture of her presence and activity.
The wife of the president pledged an endowment fund of 50 million naira for the best graduating female student at the university. Ibrahim Isa, TVC News, Kano.
Well, now, BKO, you've seen the level of humanitarian support the governor is providing for the people of Borno State. But first off, how effective are these welfare provisions now for populations that are vulnerable to the insurgency right now in Borno State? And how sustainable is this?
Well, it's sustainable. There's a ministry that takes care of that. It's just like asking me how sustainable the provision of palliative grains in Yobe State has been. I was there, I saw things for myself. You don't have to tell me a story or give me a video. My own brand of journalism, I go right there to the scene so that I can determine whether it's propaganda or it's the truth. So some governors, you see, maybe because of Zulum's background, Governor Zulum had to become a kabu-kabu driver to pay his way through school. And he went to the prestigious University of Ibadan, graduated there. After driving kabu-kabu from the money that he made, he sponsored himself through school. And he has not forgotten his humble background. And he knows that there are many people like him who have not had the opportunity to make it in life. So you can see his people-centered approach to governance is second to none. It's not, there's no debate about that. In our country today, he went to sleep in Bama 2 nights. Zulum will not simply give you rice, go and share to people. He will supervise it. And then he gives cash. Others may be giving rice and not giving people cash. He knows that those people don't have money. He sets aside money. And by himself, those envelopes, he will put it in people's hands, one after another. Puts it in their hands. Heads of families, 45,000 of them. 45,000 bag of rice. I challenge the governors of the Southwest now. How many of them have you seen giving palliative grains to people? How many? Let them come on. Now, when we challenge them, they said, no, we gave rice. Oh, you are not aware. Oh, were you distributing your own rice at 2 a.m.? How come we can't report yours? But we can report Yobe. We can report Borno. Look at the governor. This is the thing. See crowd. Look at the crowd. They will line up. Zulum will ensure, even clothes, wrappers. He will give. He went to an IDP camp in Niger Republic to give them clothes, to give them money. There was a stampede, some people died. Because since 2014, when they ran to that place to hide, no one had gone there to see them, let alone provide some of their needs. You know, Bama is a very big commercial center in Borno State. But unfortunately, because of insecurity, outside of Bama, 1 or 2 towns, Boko Haram will not let our people move around freely. So those people who have lost their means of livelihood, because insurgency has taken people's means of livelihood away, these are people who like to farm. They are not lazy people. But you cannot go and farm for fear of being killed. In Monguno local government. For example, if we step out of Monguno town, because Monguno town is the only town where people are living in that local government, the governor's hometown, Zulum, his original hometown. No one has lived there since 2014. If you step out of Monguno town, do like maybe 3 kilometers out of Monguno town, Monguno, you are likely to die. But the governor will go to those IDP camps. He will go to those communities where at least people can live with enjoying relative peace, where their security will go there and give them those palliative items. That is what we are telling these people to give. We are not saying, oh, make it permanent. Oh, we are not saying palliative is another means of running an economy. No one is saying that. And if people are saying, oh, you cannot run an economy based on palliative, no one is telling you that they want to run an economy based on palliative. We are saying show empathy. You go to church, you go to mosque, you pretend that you have empathy, but you don't have it. This is an opportunity to show empathy, and this man, at every turn, shows it. Let's see other governors do this, because they got 2 billion each from the president. Let's see lawmakers who are given money by the president in December. Let's also see them do this. A lot of them pocketed the money. That's the point that we are making.
It has entered voicemail.
They pocketed the money. Now everybody is blaming one man. I'm not saying he does not deserve to be blamed. After all, he's the one who removed subsidy. People will blame him. But the point is, even what he did to help alleviate these pains, people are refusing governors because they have immunity. Some have not even shared a single grain of rice. And they got money. There are people, unfortunately for us in this country, people are not even challenging their governor. Say, but this one, Zulum, is a governor. Is he not a governor like them? Were they not sworn in the same way?
I think Borno State is just a...
Our people are not even challenging their governors.
It's just an example of a place where you have people who are very... who have feelings for their people. Right. The same thing during Shetima's time, you remember. He did almost the same thing. So Governor Zulum has taken an example from him.
And he's taking it a notch higher.
A notch higher. But what we have in this situation is that, as we always ask, is it that there are more problems in the other governors' states than they have in Borno? But it's not the same. It's not so.
Whatever problem.
What I'm even saying is that Borno has more problems than those states.
Yes, security problems,
everything. Borno is acting more, helping people more than the other states are doing. And then the question we keep asking is, why is it that these people are not doing what this man is doing? Because anytime you see federal allocation now, you see states, local government, federal, they have more than they've ever had before. So what are they doing with this? What is it that they want to do?
You know what we want? During Okonjo last time, they used to publish what states.
Exactly.
I learned that some state governors protested.
No, I think that
we must find a way to bring it down. We must find a way to bring it down. Even as journalists, maybe we can work with budget and other...
Yeah, because these blankets...
So that we can show the world what these governors are collecting.
Exactly, what each state is getting.
We have to do this for our people.
Yeah.
We have to find a way to get what they are collecting.
Where people get money and you don't hear what they do with it.
The next day they've traveled abroad, they've traveled... Now alone, supposed to enjoy life.
So indeed, there needs to be serious checks in the system so that we can have...
I was saying that Nigerians are hungry.
Yeah. The First Lady should interview the President.
It's a fact. Do you think the President doesn't know? He doesn't even need to send Senator Lawrence Tinubu to the President. The President knows. It just happens that some of the steps being taken, we are not seeing the results yet. Our wish and our prayer is that those results will begin to show later. I've listened to People like Bismarck Rewane, the economist, saying that, look, in the year 2024, we'll begin to see changes. We've seen reforms implemented in other places. Reforms are usually painful. Reforms are usually painful. But reforms are not altogether bad. Because we expect that, okay, the dividends will come with time. It may be slow. But if it is a necessary step that you have to take, a government has to take those steps. They may be painful, but a government has to take it. Somebody sent me a mail that, please tell Tinubu to return subsidy. Even if Tinubu stands in my front today, I will not tell him to return subsidy because I know it makes no sense. All of the people who campaigned for presidency, they all said they would remove it. So,
but we understand it's a necessary, it's a needed thing to happen, but what can be done to cushion, because people are really, feeling the pangs.
That is what
of this
we will
removal.
encourage the government. I will implore President Tinubu to take further steps to cushion the effect. Part of it was this, the release of grains from the strategic grains reserve. They must do their best to monitor distribution and ensure this gets to people. People like Governor May Malabuni, people like Governor Zulu, they feel for their people. They can't watch their people suffer. But that's not how many of the governors are feeling. These same governors that can't pay minimum wage of ordinary 30,000. What if you took money from the federal government, 2 billion, to buy those palliative grains? Where are they? Our people need to ask questions. You can't just one trick pony. Just direct your blame to an individual. It takes more than one person to run a country. That's the point that I'm making. You can't. Your governors got money, and people didn't see things, and you still demand in Aso Rock that you blame. Yes, blame him for certain things, but reserve some of the blame for your own direct leaders who got money and didn't share things to people. Direct some of the blame to your federal lawmakers because they also got money in December, and a good number of them refused outright to share even one grain of rice to people. So that is the point. You talk about how can we ease the pain. How can we ease the pain when people were given money to buy grains and distribute to people?
Decided not to do it.
Some of the federal lawmakers converted the money to buy motorcycles, to buy hair dryer, to buy other things. That was not what they said you should buy. What kind of people are you? That was not what you were told to buy with it. I mean, so this is the thing. When we talk about government, politicians must realize it. Let them get this into their consciousness. If for any reason, out of our carelessness, we allow this republic to go down,
right,
it's not going to be one person's blame.
No.
So everyone must jump in and see how they can save the situation.
Right.
You know?
Right.
We were already borrowing money to pay subsidy. So I cannot in good conscience say, let us continue to pay subsidy. We were borrowing money.
Right, let's quickly move on. Let's away from this issue now, because also still in this package that we also saw, we saw the Emir of Kano talking about the suspicion about the relocation of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria and some departments of the Central Bank of Nigeria from Abuja to Lagos. Now, what do you make of that suspicion, and how do you think the government can be more transparent or communicate its decisions to the people or those concerned, so it doesn't look like one person is left out or one person is being favored?
You know, no matter what you say, some people have taken a position. The central bank governor has explained, the Minister of Aviation has explained. And all this, the way I see it is this. In other countries, in other climes, because the capital is in Abuja or in Washington, D.C., does not mean every system must be there. For example, in the United States of America, the Center for Disease Control is in Atlanta. It's not in Washington. Their air control, whatever, is not in Washington. So everything, you take a look at what is the best way and what is the best option for this. And that is what is being done. So the president does not need to explain.
Oh, that's not.
It is the business of the ministers, and they have explained.
And they've explained.
And they've told us what it is. But my own in all this is that the president should not allow such minor issues to distract him. Because, in all honesty, all eyes are on the president. And the president must have his eyes on history. Through the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, those who are blaming the PDP for causing the problem, they've changed today. They've started blaming Buhari because they couldn't blame PDP again. They've started blaming Buhari that Buhari was not taking the right decision. When President Tinubu finishes his term, these same people will come and blame him. So the president must have his eyes
on the ball.
Right.
Exactly. Must have his eyes on the ball that, look, no matter whose us is God, this is his time to make history. That, look, the decisions I'm taking it for the best benefit of the country.
Yes.
So that those who yesterday were blaming PDP are today blaming Buhari will not come and blame him too.
You know, let's even look at this in sense.
Exactly.
I don't know what the emir finds suspicious. There is nothing suspicious.
I mean,
in any case, Abuja does not belong to any part of Nigeria. It is our federal capital.
Exactly.
And I've said it before, northern leaders, I am a northerner. No northern leader can say it's more northern than me. I will not agree. Because I was born there.
The same with
from
me.
The same area. I'm from Kogi State. Kogi State is part of the north.
It's kind of, yes.
Well located in the north. You are not more northern than me. If you say that, I will argue with you. You know, I was born in Zaria, Usasa General Hospital. That was where they gave back to me, in Zaria. So don't tell me that you are more northern. The north does not own Abuja.
At all.
Nigeria owns Abuja.
Abuja.
These were the sort of needless argument that got people like Awolowo to think that, oh, the north had ulterior motives. But many Southerners supported the idea. Today we have Abuja.
Exactly.
Today we have Abuja.
Who are the people who championed the...
Sanusi is a northerner.
Exactly.
He had even become an emir like this emir.
Exactly.
Was emir of Kano before him. Sanusi never said this thing was suspicious. In fact, he said something that some of the people complaining is because their children are working in Central Park. You know, these big people, they don't allow their children to follow the right process. They use their big manism to put their children
them there.
Now, if you want to transfer people, they can't be happy.
Exactly.
Let me give an example. There is a department of the CBN that monitors what's going on in the stock market.
And it's in Abuja.
There is no stock market elsewhere except Lagos. So if you put the department that monitors them, if you must put it in Abuja, what would they be monitoring?
So in a nutshell,
now,
give it...
if you are saying that, okay, then there is the Department of Banking Supervision.
Right.
The
majority of the
headquarters banks
are in Lagos.
99.9% are here in Lagos. You want them to be monitoring them from Lagos. No wonder banks can keep $5 billion in cash.
Exactly.
In their vaults.
Exactly.
You are just discovering. So these things, we don't need this needless argument.
No need for any argument.
The Minister of Aviation already explained that they were spending hundreds of millions of dollars on flights alone. That was when flights were cheaper.
Exactly. Hotel accommodation.
And everything.
What do they call that one?
We are saying that we are wasteful.
Out of station allowance and so
we are saying that we are very wasteful in this country and that this government must not continue. Now you want us to continue that wastefulness. Just to relocate just an agency.
And
if they
not even the whole of the central bank.
If they now relocated defense ministry to Lagos, what will happen? We'll start killing ourselves.
Well, we will not get to that point.
Needless argument.
Needless.
Well, let's leave that discussion for now because it can be really. Well, that's where we have to end this episode of Journalist Hangout. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch a repeat broadcast of it tonight at 11. You can also join us again on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30. And also, we are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Esther Makwariola. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. ShopX TV has brought you the latest innovations in lifestyle, fitness, and cooking from across the globe. And now, we are proud to introduce to you a game changer for your home security. The ShopX TV Smart Security Collection. The amazing collection includes the Bionic Floodlight and the Sight Bulb HD Cam. The Bionic Floodlight is a revolutionary solar-powered floodlight that protects your home against intruders at night, especially when there is no power. It also lights up the surroundings of your home without having to worry about wires, installations, and hefty light bills. That's right, our Bionic Floodlight is a wireless, solar-paneled, motion-activated, multi-directional floodlight that showers a super span of light across your home and surroundings. The outdoor solar panel absorbs the sun all day to energize a flood of light at night. And because it is water-resistant, it will not get damaged in the rain. Watch. The instant motion is detected, the Bionic Floodlight triggers 108 high-intensity LED bulbs on 3 separate panels that instantly blasts an area of 1,000 square feet with bright penetrating light, then automatically shuts off when the motion stops. And with its one-touch wireless remote, you can control the light from anywhere. There is even an alert security strobe light that scares intruders and unwanted visitors in a flash. Incredible, right? And our Sight Bulb HD Cam is a robotic 360 degrees two-way torque camera with action tracking technology. It is the ultimate solution for discreet and powerful surveillance. Sight Bulb is the convenient and affordable way to keep surveillance on your home, kids, or business without having to worry about wires, installations, or heavy light bills. It's so easy to install, and the app lets you rotate and view the video from your Sight Bulb in real time from any smartphone. You would normally pay up to 400,000 Naira for home security systems that involves a lot of wires and hefty light bills. But call the number on your screen now or scan the QR code to get our smart collection for just 130,000 Naira. Amazing! But wait, there's more. If you order right now, you get an extra Sight Bulb and Bionic Floodlight at no extra cost. All for just 130,000 Naira. Incredible! You can get our home security collection in 2 easy payments of 65,000 Naira. That's right, pay twice to get your ShopX Smart Security Collection. And remember, if you order now, you get free delivery wherever you are in Nigeria. But hurry, limited stocks available, so call the number on your screen now or visit our website to place your order while stock lasts. The preceding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
When Nigeria's unity was at stake after a devastating civil war, the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) was formed in 1973 to foster national cohesion. More than 50 years after, the scheme
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
You're watching Beyond 100 Days with Nifemi Oguntoye. Let's begin in Abuja, where former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustapha, has denied involvement in the alleged fraud case against former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele. Mr. Mustapha, who appeared before the Federal High Court, says the document didn't emanate from the office of the President while he was serving. He insists the federal government has no business with the payment of foreign election observers and that the decisions of the Federal Executive Council aren't transmitted by letters. The former SGF's comments follows allegations by a prosecution witness that former President Buhari approved a cash payment of 2.9 billion naira for observance of the 2023 general elections. And more dignitaries are now visiting the home of Herbert Wigwe's parents in Lagos to pay their condolence. But let's begin with an update from the Access Holdings PLC, where Bolaji Agbede is now the acting Group Chief Executive Officer, replacing Herbert Wigwe, who died in a helicopter crash on Friday. He was on board the aircraft alongside his wife, son, and a former group chairman of the Nigerian Exchange Group, Abimbola Ogunbanjo. The company's statement announced the new appointment is subject to the approval of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Access Holdings Secretary Sunday Kuche said the company is convinced that Ms. Agbede, being the company's most senior executive with exceptionally rich professional and leadership experience as well as understanding of the Access culture, would provide the much-needed leadership to steer the company to attain its vision. And we're also following closely the visit of dignitaries to the family home of Herbert Wigwe in Lagos. Governor of Ogun State, Dapo Abiodun, and Aliko Dangote were some of the first set of dignitaries to visit. Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, also visited the family on Monday. Former Governor Ibikunle Amosun described his death as a shock and a loss to the nation.
I think Nigeria has lost a key icon. The financial services industry has lost a solid pillar, and for those of us that are left behind, I would say, may the Lord comfort all of us.
We are feeling sad. We are not happy about what has happened, but we have to submit to the will of the Almighty Lord at times like this. We just pray that the good Lord will grant help us, the wife, the son.
So in politics now, a fresh crisis has erupted in the opposition Labour Party over alleged misappropriation of 3 billion naira raised for the 2023 election campaigns. Last week, the national chairman of Labour Party, Julius Abure, while debunking an allegation of forgery leveled against him, said some members of the party were being sponsored to destabilize Labour Party.
While several calls and messages put across to the national chairman
provide documentation for the 3.5 billion naira raise for the sale of forms for the 2023 election and why Edo State proceeds went into private accounts. Declare every single dollar raised from the 2023 U.S. fundraising tour and provide documentation on where donations were warehoused and how same was appropriated. Allow me unfettered access to party account and record as national treasurer of the party. Submit an independent forensic audits of our party's finances to be conducted by a reputable international firm. Explain why he has deliberately undermined my authority and flouted the Labour Party constitution.
Our attention is turned to developments in Edo State, particularly how the Labour Party is faring following the recent developments at the national level. We're back after this break with more conversations in this regard. Stay with us, everyone.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear Tinubu.
Thanks for staying with us, everyone. Let's talk about Labour Party and the Edo governorship election. I'm joined by a two-time member of the House of Representatives and a governorship aspirant of the party in Edo, Honorable Sergio Zogun. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
So you have addressed why you left the PDP last year on different occasions, but this was the party that sponsored your 2 terms at the House of Representatives. How easy was that decision for you?
Yeah, but it wasn't easy. But as you remember, I quickly endorsed the candidature of Peter Obi June 2022 because I felt he was the right person to govern the country, considering where we are now. You know, as a nation, we needed a frugal person that would be careful in how he manages our state resources. So even though I was a member of the PDP then, as you remember, but I just followed my heart, and I felt it was the right thing to do, and I still believe it's the right thing to do. But of course, you expect what will follow. I came back to the state and I worked for the Labour Party, and I think from then it just became obvious that someday I have to join the Labour Party, and that's what played out eventually.
Well, I'm sure you're familiar with the narrative of party ideology and how easy it is for politicians in Nigeria to change political parties. So I'm wondering how you answer the question of party loyalty for those who said you left the PDP once it was obvious that the government wasn't going to support your ambition.
Well, yes, you might be correct there. The governor, I approached him, I've said this openly a couple of times, to let him know it's not so much of supporting my ambition, but it's also that, because he has the right to support anybody. But he's the leader of the party in the state. And he knew where I was at that time, that I was leaning towards Labour. So it wasn't a difficult decision to make. I didn't even have to go back to him to say I was leaving Labour.
Let's
yeah.
Yes.
Talking about ideology. I think I am more of a Labour person. It probably took a Peter Obi to navigate me to the destination, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's interesting the way you have put it. I haven't done 8 years as representative with the PDP, but you are from Uromi, right, in Eastern Northeast local government area, and there's this growing advocacy for Edo Central to produce the next governor. But I've also spoken to a couple of aspirants who have a different understanding of this concept, unlike the narrative that Edo South has had 16 years. The North 8 years, and Edo Central haven't produced governor for only about 18 months since 1999. They say Edo South has had 4 civilian governors, Central has produced 2 civilian governors, and Edo North has only had 1. What do you make of this, and how much impact will these sentiments have on election day?
Well, I am from Buhari in Eastern Southeast. Even though in the National Assembly I represented Eastern Southeast, Eastern Northeast, and Uromi is the headquarters of Eastern Northeast. So, and I grew up in Uromi. So technically, yes, you can say I'm from Uromi, but I am from Eastern Southeast local government. Yes, I don't know any Eastern man that was a military administrator, but we are talking about from 2019, 1999. The Fourth Republic. That's where we are taking it from. And if you are now adding military administration to it, it's very unfortunate. But I also don't even think that...
Well, I am not the one adding it to it. I am just telling you the sentiments of people in the North, for instance. They must have added Professor Ambrose Ali and Professor Osubo into the mix.
Yeah, even if you add all that, that would just be 5 years and 8 months. So, but the point I'm making, this is even unnecessary. We are all from one family, come to think about it. Children of one parent. So why are we fighting about which region and which region, when you're looking for vote, you can ask for vote everywhere. So Edo State is one big family. I think we should forget this idea of Central, North, and South. Come to Edo South, where I am right now, Benin City. I have been around the 18 local governments, to talk to people. There's almost no local government I went to, except some few in the north, where you do not have Edo Central person serving as an executive. In the south, Edo South, there is no local government area I went to talk to the executive where there was no one single person serving in the executive that's from Edo Central. Those people have made Benin City, Edo South, their home. So when the election comes now, you are talking about who is from Central, who is from North. It's an unnecessary discussion that I don't even want to get involved in. But I believe I see the bigger picture. I will govern Edo State as one state.
Well, you seem to be an advocate of zoning yourself. My question really is, what impact will these conversations have on how people in Edo will vote? Do you think it is the time for ASEAN people as well?
Well, yes, I did 2 terms in the House of Reps, and some people urged me to do a 3rd term that I have done where I will win election any day. I said no, because we have been rotating it. So if I represent a constituency of 2 local governments, and I already did 8 years in my local government, I think it should go to the other local government, where matter of fact, I grew up. And the 2 elections I did, it was 11 wards. I won all the 11 wards in the 2nd local government. And like I said, I grew up there. So if it was their turn to produce a House of Rep member, by all means, let it go there. Yes, I think I advocate for zoning because it allows for the spread. I mean, don't take this away from zoning. Whenever a particular local government or a senatorial is the governor or is in the National Assembly, you tend to do a little more for that area than the other. So if it's going around like that, I can tell you, in the 8 years I spent in the National Assembly, I almost did 50-50. But when I took over from my predecessor, the projects I met, they were all in the other local government. But I can tell you now, leaving the National Assembly, my projects are shared, they are very even, 50-50, between both local governments. So, but that works, because you will know your area more than any area. I have lived in Edo North. I schooled in Edo North, spent so many years there. I schooled in Edo South. The place I didn't really school too much is really my own place. So, but with somebody from Edo South to know the Edo Central more than myself, so it allows for, the rotation allows for everyone to produce somebody from their own area.
Well, I guess we'll definitely see how that plays out in the coming days. Let's talk about your new party for a bit. There seems to be fresh challenges with the Labour Party at the national level. I'm sure you're following the story of the treasurer who's asking your national chairman to account for 3.5 billion naira made during last election. Are you worried about this new development and its impact on the credibility of your party going into this election?
Well, I think it's some of the problems that a young party will go through. Even though Labour is not such a young party, it's been around, but now they are one of the major opposition parties in the country. So it's just the initial problem they will have. And by nature of Labour, everybody can speak up. Who is a treasurer in APC, NWC? Have you heard the treasurer speak in APC? I was in the PDP and I was a member of NEC. If I even know the treasurer, I don't think I ever engaged or I ever saw the treasurer talking on television. So I think it's by the nature of Labour. That is why you see a treasurer come out to say extra amount of money. These are matters that are usually discussed in-house. I heard I also say the chairman takes decision before telling NWC later. That's what happens everywhere. In the last APC, and when the new NWC emerged under Senator Abdullahi Adamu, they actually gave all the power, as in, what's the word now? They convened and and gave all the powers to the chairman of NWC and the secretary so that they can make decisions on behalf of NWC. So if INEC is requesting for an information today, the chairman should convene NWC to tell them. Like I said, I was a member of NEC in PDP. NWC would take decisions and they just send it to NEC to ratify. All members of NWC are not in the same place at the same time. So to say that because the chairman makes certain decisions and goes to INEC with it and tells them later is an offense. Like I said, check the PDP, check the APC. Who is a treasurer to come on television and be leveling all manner of allegations against the national chairman?
Talking about the treasurer, you know, sometimes they say it's not about the messenger, it's the message. She also accused the chairman of allegedly being in alliance with the People's Democratic Party in Edo State. I recall that a few weeks ago, some members of your party protested against the same chairman over an allegation of supporting some aspirants ahead of the primary. They categorically asked that Abure should stay away from the primary. What do you make of this development?
Well, you hear this a whole lot of time. You hear this. It happens in all political parties. But I think it's just leadership. If you have strong leadership, matters like this are usually handled. I also think some aspirants that have spent so much money and are not sure what will happen are just nervous. They're the ones organizing or orchestrating all this. But it's not a problem. We're going to have a peaceful primary and a winner will emerge and we will win the governorship of Edo State. Simple.
Are you saying that if you do not emerge winner, you will stay with the Labour Party and support whoever the party chooses as candidate?
I would do that. I mean, I am not a career politician. I have addresses, 2 addresses. So why will I want to break my head? Like I just mentioned, I think some people already broke the bank. And that is why they are nervous now. They have spent so much and they are suspecting in their shadows. So if you go in with the mind of serving the people, why do you have to break the bank? Because someday what you are telling us, when you win, you have to take state resources to pay back.
Are you saying that you haven't spent some money yourself, Honorable Ogo?
I have spent money, but I have not broken the bank.
All right. So, well, I understand you. But, you know, some would say it also matters how much is in the bank. Maybe how much you have spent is relative to how much is in the bank. But I'm just kidding. So let's talk about the potential that the Labour Party really has ahead of this election. Your party had an overwhelming win in Edo in the last presidential election, winning with more than twice the votes of the APC. And I think 4 times what PDP had in that election. But Peter Obi isn't on the ballot this time, right? And that's been evident in the elections we've seen after that one. What confidence do you have in the Labour Party? What is your party counting on this time?
Well, in the last election in Edo State that the Labour Party won, it was not really the Labour Party members alone that voted for Labour Party. And I keep telling everybody that cares to listen. At that time, I was a sitting House of Rep member under the platform of the PDP. And I said on national platform, even on your television station, that I am obedient and I was going to vote for Peter Obi. I didn't hide it. I went to my constituency and I voted for Peter Obi. People, my followers, voted for Peter Obi. And that happened across. So if you remember, the legacy PDP had issues with the governor then. And 90% of the legacy PDP vote went to Labour. So in this election again,